Welcome back. I am here today with Jesse, and we are going to have a conversation about men. It is the very last day of Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and you have been posting all month long, and even before that. You've kind of stepped away from the political realm, stepped away from the local circus, and really taken on your own charge. What created that shift for you?
Well, I had a couple buddies that committed suicide recently. One attempted to commit suicide, wasn't successful. He now sits in a home and sits in front of the TV about 12 hours a day. And I seen the statistics of everything, but that's what forced me to do it. But before that, I had gone through my own battles with losing my daughter. I raised my daughter for 11 years. Wasn't my biological daughter. Got with her mom. Got pregnant by another guy. I was already fixed. And, fixed, not a dog, but I had a vasectomy. And it was kind of just one of those things where I was going through a rough spot, and things seemed easier. If I didn't exist, it seemed like it would be easier for me and everyone else. And I was at that point where I had that pivotal moment where I said, okay, if I'm feeling this, I know there's all these other men out there that are going through the same thing. And that's where I had to step back, and I've always lived by the mantra, be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
And I was I've been with politics stuff, I've been roughnecking it, I've been, doing all kinds of just thugging out there. And it was one of those things where I had to decide, the change I want to see isn't in politics.
Right.
It's not the circus rat race. It's not for me. And it was more about trying to help other men that I knew were struggling with problems I had to get through. And by helping them, it also helped me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why we came up with the spot. And it started out slow. Went into it. We decided we'd do 3 months. Try it out, see how we're going to do it for 3 months. I leased a building for a whole year. I said 3 months. I'm going to give 3 months. If it doesn't kick off in 3 months, I'm then we're going to let's have a really big shop and big warehouse to hold our Harleys.
Right.
So 3 months, it was a little slow. Had a few guys, 4 or 5 guys trickling here and there. We're doing it twice a week. I was providing meals twice a week for the guys that are coming in. And then now we're up to probably 20 plus guys there on a night, and seeing, the changes we've seen with some of these guys. I've had guys come in where they're talking about just wanting to rip off everyone's heads and running the world, hating the world, and now they're advocating to other men about how those men can make small changes in their life to do better and want better and be happier.
Right. So. And people in the community are seeing what you're doing. You made a post, and Players Pizza's always been really great about being involved in the community and giving back and doing, but you ordered Players Pizza one night for that, and they wrote special notes on all the boxes and just tried to do a little to make a difference.
It was a really cool thing. I had someone reach out, Sarah Bertozzi off Facebook, and I think they didn't really want us to put it out there because they wanted us to give. They do giving in community, but I'm going to give it out anyway because I already did. When it was Allen and Dahl Funeral Homes.
Nice.
They all worked in conjunction, and they said, "Hey, what can we do? Can we order you guys some food? Can we get you guys something? Let us cover one of the dinner charges, so you're not paying for it." So we did it. They got us pizza. Players Pizza heard kind of what we were doing, and the staff at Players Pizza they ran with it. It was pretty awesome. We were lifting up boxes of lids of pizza, and it's telling us, to have the hope and to keep pushing forward and keep having the warrior's heart and keep fighting. And that was kind of the really cool thing is all the guys. I had guys that were there kind of down with divorces or lost their jobs or losing their houses or whatever it may be, that are lifting up pizza boxes to read the next one and then stacking it to read the next one. And so when they saw that there's other people out there, a lot of times that's all the counseling you need.
Right.
We don't do conventional counseling. We're not a conventional. We don't sit there and ask you what your problems are. We sit there, we sit around, we have dinner. Some guys drink a beer, some guys are recovering. They'll have a soda or water. And we just kind of bring up through our conversations what we went through. One guy will sit there and they'll bring up, going through custody with my wife and my kids, and this is what's going on. A guy with the same exact story sitting 5 feet away from him tells him, "Hey man, It's gonna be okay. I went there, same thing. Here's what you could do.
Right.
Here's what it is. And he gives him that guidance, that wisdom to help him. But hearing someone else has that same problem.
Right. It helped the
went
other
through
guy
it.
too. Like I wasn't alone. Yeah.
It helps you get through when you know someone else is going through the same issue you are. Then it's like, wow, okay, I can't be down.
Yeah.
Like I got to step up. Like here's another alpha male that's got through this, and
Yeah.
I need to step it up. I can't just be down on myself about it. I need to step up, and I need to be there because I'm gonna have one of these young kids come in, and I'm gonna be able to give them that wisdom to one of these other kids.
Right.
So it's kind of a self-healing counseling. We don't grill anyone. It's kind of like,
Right.
hey, anyone has something, you want to bring it up? One thing we did, kind of cool little thing I'll do is I'll come up with questions for guys to think about. One of them was, if death sat next to you, what would you say to it? And it was cool because some of the guys got back to me in 2 or 3 days telling me what they would tell death
Right.
when death's sitting next to them. And I remember when I first heard the question years and years ago, I was at a down, dark point in my life. And I was like, man, like I would tell death, like, let's take this walk. Let's go.
Right.
Now I have a whole different perspective. And it's more like death and I are going to go back behind the alley and we're going to scrap this shit out.
Right.
So
Yeah.
another one we did was, what's your biggest fear? As a man, you're a tough guy. You got to have this persona about you that you're not scared of anything.
Right.
Me, I'll share mine with everyone. My biggest fear was outliving any of my children. That was my biggest fear, was ever outliving one of my children. Other guys, getting eaten alive, different things like that. I had 2 guys that they told us something that night. 3 days later, they called me and they said, hey, I want to tell you what my biggest fear really is.
Right.
And they confided in me what their biggest fear was. And it was simple little life things.
Yeah.
Issues with their wife or issues with not being enough for their family or whatever it was. So it's really helping in the community. It's helping with these guys. Like when you see the change in one of these guys that's been down, I mean, it's that right there is
Right.
enough for me to keep going.
Right.
And
Well, and we live in a society that right now, being a man, you're told masculinity is toxic. You're told that, especially, we were just joking about this, white men are the root of all evil, You don't qualify for that statistic, but you get roped in there by association with all of us, you know? And so on top of the everyday stresses, on top of the fact that I think this said men are nearly 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women.
yep.
Male suicide was 22.8% per 100,000 compared to 5.7% for females. So, you're 4 times more likely.
Almost 100 men a day commit suicide.
Yeah.
And that's a big number. I mean, you think about it. You think about it, and every
Right.
one of us could think about it and say, suicide doesn't affect me. But one of us can probably say someone in our family or friend that did commit suicide.
Absolutely.
How they did it, different ways, that's a different story. But
Right.
we all can say someone that commits suicide.
Right.
And that's kind of our thing is, I have some of the guys that they're good. They don't come there because they're down. Some of them come to men's group
Right.
just because they want to socialize. They work, they have a wife, they have their kids, they've lost their own identity. And they'll come there and they'll be like, man, I need this. I
Yeah.
look forward to my every Wednesday night coming down here because it's the only time I get to laugh and be around a band of brothers
Right.
who care about each other. I mean, they'll show up with a car that's broke down or sounds funny or their Harley. And I mean, you'll have 9 guys over there. I mean, most of the time, all of our stuff conflicts. None of us ever agree on anything. But by the end of the time, when they're getting ready to leave, cars running good, trucks running good, bikes running good,
Yeah.
and it just
So
kind of
I need to just throw on a mustache and bring down my car.
Yeah.
So that
bring it on down. No, and that really is the thing, and that's kind of where we wanted to go with this. Was at some point I wanted have some of these younger kids who don't have
right.
good male role models, these masculine dads in their lives. Some moms, get a hold of us, call us.
Yeah.
We'll take your, teenage kid down there. We'll show them how to change your mom's oil on her car, how to change the tires. We'll teach them how to shoot a bow, how to, skin an animal, things like that. And it's kind of where our group is. Like, we're doing a lot of different things. We're building a second story on there. And doing some different cool stuff. I mean, we've done some fight nights where there's been some UFC fights, and we've had those. Kind of either sex can come. We're talking about doing a family night, one day a month. You could bring your wives down there, see that it's not some party club with women down there and stripper poles. It's not what we're doing. We have a gym inside there. We have a TV. We have internet. We have cold drinks. We have foosball tables, dartboards, and we have tools. We have tools, motorcycle lifts, whatever to work on your stuff.
It's a safe place to be a man in a society that tells you that being a man's not a good thing.
And that was kind of one of the things. One of the things I went through in my past relationship was we'd get in an argument or disagreement. And when I had done counseling, it was like, hey, you're getting to the point where you're getting angry, you need to leave that situation. Just leave, take a cool-off period, take a break. Well, I would. I'd go take a break, and I'd just drive around, listen to some music, kind of drive around, get out of my head. But then you get accused. Were you at the bar?
Right.
What girls were you with? So with the men's group, we kind of made it as that. Like, hey, you guys all have a key. You all have access to the men's group. You're going through a hard time. Call one of your brothers. We'll come down here and meet you. Or sit down here by yourself. You can assure your wife, hey, I'm down here. There's women aren't allowed. I'm just down here doing my thing. Give me a few minutes to figure this out so we can come back, be productive, and we can make it work.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is, I have wives that are like, hey, call my husband. He didn't come last week, and I want him to get down there. He's always happier when he goes down there and hangs out with you guys. Things like that. It's kind of just a social club, men's group. Counseling is like it's a different form of counseling.
Right.
We counsel through our social engagement rather than you know, asking
and
questions.
sometimes that's more how people respond. You know,
especially kind of us alpha guys. I mean, the other thing is we have guys that, we have guys from every walk of life, every age group, and we all have stories that relate to each other. Someone's gone through the same struggle you did, and that's kind of where we bounce things off. Some of us look at investments. We got a guy who's into real estate investing, and he'll give us, hey, don't do that. This is the way you got to go. We have guys that are mechanics. Hey, what it is this. It's just that brotherhood, that kind of bond we get. And anyone's invited. Right. The public, whoever it is, we have guys that show up that are liberals. They may not like everything we say because most of us are kind of alpha filters. Patriots. Like, that's not where we go. But when we're there, like, doesn't matter. We're here for one another. We're here for this bond. We're here to help each other to where we don't become part of that growing statistic. Right. And kind of why we do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I respect it. I'm going to close out this video with another group. I was sitting at breakfast. I told you I went and did this event in Yuba City, and we were at breakfast the next morning, and the guy behind us was like, hey, I heard what you guys were talking about. I wanted to share with you. Like, we had 4 people baptized at our church last week, and I was like, that's awesome. And he's like, we have this other group, and it's doing this, parenting thing for fathers. It's called Fathers First. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, this month, that's what that's about. Yep. And so they took like a whole different twist on it, and they're using the public health sector of their government to get to these people and meet them where they're at. And they're meeting people in prison and in jail saying like, I have nothing else to live for, and they're finding them in that place. They're giving them a ride there. And it's a whole different way, and it's a whole different system, but it's also a different demographic. And it's so we've got over here the men who are just needing to be men and know that there's nothing wrong with being a man. And then we've got over here these men who need to like be lifted up so that they can be that contributing member of society. And the fact that there are resources for all types. But I mean, we also talked about it. There's every resource in the world. If you're a mom, if you're a woman, and I can go get all the help that I need, and nobody looks down on me for it. They're like, oh, it's self-care. Oh, good for you. Self-care moment. And if you were to be like, hey, I'm, going to counseling 3 days a week, and I'm reading this self-help book, and people would be like, Jesse, what are you doing? It's different. And I hate that for society. And, you make posts sometimes, and being fresh out of a relationship, there's some times where you post things that I'm like, oh, if only all men were like you, then, but then I look at it through that other lens of like, you are, that man, but you're giving that advice to those other men that are those men who need to know that it's okay. And I really respect the heck out of everything that you're doing, because too many men go down a road of having something break, and they either, like we're learning, they break completely and we lose them, or they become so hardened off that there's no chance for them to move on and have the fulfillment of what their full potential is, right?
And they stay hurt and they stay damaged, and they take that damage to the next relationship they get in.
Or they just never jump in another one. They're just like, they're so jaded, and I'm safer if it never happens.
Yep.
I have one of my really close friends, and I'm like, you would be the exact model of what every woman our age is looking for. Yet he's like, I was hurt this many times by this many people. It's never happening again. I'm focusing on my work and I'm done.
Yep.
And it's like the world lost a good guy.
Yep.
And so I respect the heck out of what you're doing, because you're offering healing and you're offering hope and restoration. And it doesn't have to be like a clinical thing, and it doesn't have to be a downer thing. It's healing and hope, knowing that there's more out there.
And I wasn't that guy. Clinics didn't work for me. I didn't want what a psychologist read in a book, and them telling me that's where I am and that's where I fit in, because they don't know my heart. They don't know if I have a warrior's heart, if I have a coward's heart.
Right.
They don't know what's in me, and that's kind of my thing. Like I can engage with them, tell them everything, but I needed someone, just kind of guys that kind of would be around me to where I had to get vulnerable. And this is another thing. I would listen to these guys, and I'm hearing all their stuff, and I heard one guy one night just like, well, dude, your life's perfect. You're doing all this. And I said, hey, listen, I started this because I was there at that point.
Right.
I lost my daughter 3 years ago, and I was at that point where, like, I was done. Like, I saw just all dark times.
Yeah.
But then I realized for myself, I had to let everyone know, hey, in order to help all these guys, I have to let all of you know what I went through, why I'm here. Like, now my life wasn't perfect. I wasn't great. I was struggling just as much as anyone else. And I put on a fake smile. I put on a fake little happiness for everyone while I'm reading my books and listening to my audiobooks on. And we go through my audiobook list, and you're like, okay, you actually almost should be a therapist, because you have like 30 of these self-help books that you've gone through.
Oh, ours might be fairly similar. I've got some surprising things in there.
So it really did it, but that was what I learned. And it was actually healing for me to let everyone know, like, my story. And it was like, I didn't want attention from it, but I needed people to know, like, hey, I'm here because I was there.
Right.
And so we're going strong now. TheSpotShasta.com is our website. Every Wednesday at 6, we do our men's group, and we provide dinner and drinks and conversation and laughter and bullshit. Bull stuff. My little say
you're allowed to say it, yeah. We're not a radio station, and we're not funded by any big money anywhere, so you can say whatever you want.
But if you want to fund, go ahead. They could probably use that.
Yeah, if you want to fund us. We do have a couple great sponsors, but we definitely need more. So, you talked about having a warrior's heart. I might have a warrior heart. I might have a cowardly heart. I smirked a little because I was debating whether or not to say, well, we're in California, so your therapist might tell you you're a woman, and problem solved. But it's actually been on mine. Like, it's so funny. Like, all things will happen in life, and then I'll see things over and over and over and over, right? Like, my sister wanted to get tattoos 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if I can, but we both loved Gilmore Girls. We got matching Gilmore Girls tattoos, and that was right when they were coming out with the new Gilmore Girls. Well, I was just coming to terms with like wokeness and all of what's going on in our world, and I was like, what if they make the new Gilmore Girls woke? I cannot have this like woke tattoo on my body, right? So I opened up my Bible and I flipped to the back of it. And I literally went to the index and said, leadership, okay, that one. And I put a Bible verse on my hip. I had no clue what the Bible verse was. Not a clue. Just leadership looked good. if I end up hating Gilmore Girls, I'll learn the verse, I'll love the verse, right? Well, a couple years later, I get divorced. Life flips upside down. And that freaking Bible verse is everywhere. There's shirts with it. It's on my Facebook. It became like this life motto of like, lean not on your own understanding, but in everything, like, give God the glory and follow his direction, right? And I'm like, okay, I hear you. I got it, right? Well, recently I've been, watching your posts, and this has been on my heart. Like, we need to get in front of the people. We need to show about how it's not bad to be masculine. It's, there's nothing toxic about masculinity. How do we tell society, like, this is what we as women want? We want a man who's a man. We want, like, submission to a woman is not like, oh, let me bow down to you. It's, I know that you have me in all things, so I can have you in all things, right? Yeah. I can serve you and stand behind you knowing that when I'm passionate about something, you got me, right? Yep. That's being a submissive woman, right? And so, but to do that, you need a man that's strong enough. And so, like, I'm like, how can I encourage what they're doing? How can I bring this onto Mountaintop? Like, this is something that I've been passionate about. Like, how do we get this in front of people that this is how you build what God designed life to be like? Like, there's gender roles for a reason, right? There's a reason why these sex traffickers are attacking families that don't have male role models. There's a reason why the government is breaking down the family unit, right? Like, if we break all this apart and we tear down the man, there's no longer a protector, right? And so how do we fix that? How do we heal that, right? And so I keep being presented, and I know that none of it's new, but it's all showing up this week, where the definition of meekness, and I looked it up on my way here because I was like, I need to know. The definition of meekness, according to the internet and the world and everything else, is calm, slow to anger. It's passive. It's just dulled down, right? The definition of meekness in the Bible is a warrior who knows how to control that fight, who knows how to control that courage and use it for the direction it's headed in, right? So to be meek in the Bible is to be a strong warrior. It's like a term of endearment, right? Like, this man is meek because he takes the strongest urge that a man has and knows how to control that, which makes him even stronger, right?
Jordan Peterson talks about one of the most powerful men is a man who can wreak havoc with violence, but then yet he's tender to the touch with his family, his friends, his wife. And that's really a definition of a true man, in my opinion.
Right.
It's like, I can wreak havoc if I want, but I have a soft heart.
Right.
I have a soft heart to help heal, my kids and my wife or girlfriend or whatever else, or my friends. It's like, I need to be both. I need to be strong enough. I need to have the ability to be violent, but not be violent.
Right.
And it's security. I mean, women, kids, everyone needs security. And that's, like you're saying, like this trafficking thing. I dealt with that stuff for many years. I did the whole trafficking thing of chasing down these guys and dragging them out. We did it. At that time, I was a violent man. I was in a dark stage of my life. And I thought the only way I could stop this trafficking was dragging these guys out of hotel rooms and beating the snot out of them. And so we did that for a long time. And at the time, I thought I was saving the world. But now I'm saving men, making men better, to make men be more involved with their kids and a better man to their wife and a better man to their community by giving them some hope and giving them direction, and they're giving it to me back. And that's kind of where it needs to be.
That's what our community needs. That's what society needs. They need those men who will then act as the umbrella and the cover. And I mean, not only to them in their own households, but like you said, your friends, and I can attest to that. Like, as a friend, you're always there. You are a great protector, like, to our whole community, And so, yeah, I think you're changing the world more.
Trying. Got to be the change I want to see in the world.
Right. I love that. Well, thank you,
Fred.
Fred.
Your tattoo, I did hear a rumor, though, about your tattoo that you got.
Yeah.
It didn't become popular until people said you started showing off your hip a little too much.
Oh, yeah. I gotta stop.
I think you started
the fad.
Stop
going out.
You started
dancing.
the fad. You started the fad. You gotta quit dancing.
All right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. And then I'm going to break over and introduce you guys to a couple men that I met in Yuba City that are doing a Father's First group and what they have to offer to the community. And then after that, you guys have a great evening and happy 4th of July week. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Welcome. I am Leslie, and I run Mountaintop Media, which is the only conservative media company in the North State. And I was down at Rev 17 this last weekend at the Church of Glad Tidings in Yuba City. We raised over $2.3 million. I don't know the exact number yet, to make a safe haven for children who have been trafficked. And as we were kind of recouping from and having breakfast that next morning, I was, we were greeted by a gentleman that was sitting behind us, and he was telling us a little bit about his church and what he did and this group he does. And I have just had it on my heart to have a meeting, have a video about men. And especially with June being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, it's really been on my heart to, what do we have? What can we offer? And how can we help? And so I was talking a little bit before you guys got on about how things just kind of show up and happen, and you see it over and over. And I'm learning to recognize that as God talking to me. And I've been confronted with like the real definition of meekness according to the Bible versus the definition of meekness according to the world, right?
Yeah.
And in preparation for this, I was just like looking, well, what are the statistics? What's going on with men's mental health? Where is the breakdown and where can we help, right?
Yeah.
And the definition of meekness, according to the world, is patience, long-suffering, forbearance, softness, mildness, modesty, humility, right? All his friends make fun of him for his meekness. They make it sound like a weakness, right?
Right.
Where in the Bible, it's strength under control, characterized by humility, gentleness, and a submissive attitude towards God's will. But it is not at all weak. It is not at all small. It is not at all anything to make fun of or look down upon. It's understanding that, God is almighty. And when you surrender to him, you are the weaker of the two. But when you're doing his will, you have all the strength in the world, right? And so in controlling that strength, acting in control, right? I mean, that takes massive amounts of strength, but there's nothing weak about that. So I just thought that was cool and wanted to share that with you guys. But I'm going to give you guys the ground, or the what do you call it? Not the ground, the floor?
The floor.
The floor. To tell me a little bit about what you do. We have a large audience in the Butte, Sutter, Yuba area. Tell us what you do. Tell us how people can find you. And then let's just kind of hop into conversation.
Okay, sounds good. John, I wanted to start off with you and just kind of introduce yourself, and then I'll go, and then Dave will go.
Okay. My name's John. I'm the senior pastor here at Truth Tabernacle, and you can find us on Facebook and the web. And for a number of years, our church has offered two programs that have been very well received in the community. One is ACTS, which stands for Alcohol Chemical Treatment Series. It's a substance abuse education class and platform. The other one is Fathers First, which is a 6-month parenting program for dads. Both programs have been going on for over 28 years. It's very well attended. I don't run the program. I'm the senior pastor. Dave Coleman and Dr. Cassidy run that program. John Flo runs the ACTS program. We pick people up in vans from the different agencies in the community to come to the programs. And through that, we make a lot of connections with them. We pick them up on Sunday in vans and bring them to church. And I think the Lord has blessed it. He loves these people in Yuba and Sutter County, regardless of what their problems are. And Dr. Cassie started Fathers First way back because he started a mothering program called First Steps, which is still going on in Sutter County. But Dr. Cassie couldn't find any programs for dads. And if you know anything about Dr. Cassie, he's a great father himself, raised 6 great children, and he loves dads. He still does Fathers First in the jail, and Dave Coleman does Fathers First at the church here on Wednesdays and Fridays nights. And Dave does an excellent job with that. John Flo has been working with Acts for many, many years, and he's very well known in the community because of the jobs he did for Sutter County. So there you have it.
Awesome.
So my name's John Flo, and I'm the executive pastor for Truth Tabernacle, and I've been going to church there. In fact, I came to the Lord there in 1985. I was an alcoholic from age 16 to 25, and God completely took alcohol out of my life, and I'm very thankful for that. And I was in the Air Force, retired in 2004, and stayed in the area and stayed as the assistant pastor and now executive pastor. And we started the ACTS program. I did my internship with Southern Illinois University, and I used the ACTS program to develop my curriculum and develop that and finish my bachelor's degree. And then I went on to get a master's degree. And then when I retired, I worked for behavioral health. So I'm a program manager for behavioral health in Sutter County, and it's a Sutter Yuba behavioral health program. We were providing suicide prevention, bullying prevention, nurtured heart parenting classes, father support group, and also mental health first aid. So I was a part of all of those programs, authored a couple of them, and I had a team of 28 people when I was working for Sutter County Behavioral Health, providing these programs in schools. But particularly, we were working with elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools with our programs, as well as working with adults. And our whole design was prevention. So a lot of the work that I've seen happening with ACTS, Alcohol Chemical Treatment Series, and Fathers First, there's a lot of preventable work, prevention efforts that we do in those programs to help particularly for Fathers First, help men be men and help them figure out, the challenges and difficulties that they have in being a parent, because most of them are coming out of incarceration or addiction. So trying to help them through that whole process of being able to move forward in their life. And we've seen, some really great successes in men with those challenges in their life, and seeing them transformed and really and developing that. Dave Coleman has been working with Dr. Cassie, and Dave runs the program now, and he can tell you more specifics about what we're doing specifically now for Fathers First. David.
Yes. Hello, I'm David Coleman, and I've been running Fathers First since Dr. Casti has moved off primarily into the jail. Fathers First, it stands for fathers finding integrity, responsibility, and spirituality together. And Fathers First, as mentioned earlier, is a men's only parenting program. So we do a 6-month course. It's 48 meetings, and we meet every Wednesday and Friday from 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. at Truth Tabernacle, and it is located at 5206 Tulip Road in Olivehurst. And to graduate the class, at least half of the meetings have to be on Friday, because Friday is a teaching night or a lecturing night. Wednesdays are a group meeting where everyone gets a chance to speak. They all they share things that they're struggling with as a dad, or if they're going through a crisis. And every one of the men in there, we have a really great group on Wednesday nights. They're there to try to help each other out. So I mean, it's really great. On Fridays, we teach a class, and I started the beginning of the year, and I make up a calendar. So the curriculum for each meeting We know what it's going to be ahead of time, but I do put in special places for special speakers because we do get special speakers. We also play a movie about every quarter, and our movies, we don't use them for fillers. They actually have great lessons in them. I think the first one we had was War Room, and the second one was Courageous. So we watch the movie, and then the following Friday, we review it and go over it and talk about what lessons that we learned on it. So during this 6-month course, our dads are encouraged and challenged and taught new skills to be a great dad. We're not content with just being okay dads. We want to be great dads. And Fathers First helps men with children develop their character qualities that they need to be successful as a parent. And as a man enters the Fathers First program, they sign a Fathers First member pledge. One is protecting the confidentiality of all the group members, and the other is abstaining from any mood or mind-altering substances, and the other is actively pursuing a goal, whether it is education, training, or work. So to be gainfully employed and to support their children and themselves. So that's what I have right now.
That's awesome. So this doesn't just encompass like a feel good, get better mental health thing. This is A to Z, how to be a better man, a better provider, a better father, just a better contributing member of society. It encompasses everything. And I love that you guys said that you're working with your behavioral health departments, you're working with the jails, you're going and meeting them where they're at by picking them up. Like, what a service to your community. That's
We felt,
inspiring.
we felt that we really needed to be connected to our community. And uh, uh, in 1991, John and myself were very young at the time.
We
So
were.
we're a new crew, and but one of the things, that we're always willing to do is willing to learn and willing to adjust and willing to figure out how to connect. And I think really for churches, that's why I've got a lot of respect for Glad Tidings Church, is because when churches learn to connect to their community and provide a service. So along with these things that we're doing, one of the things we haven't mentioned is we also rent our building to Narcotics Anonymous. And that group started off in the mid 90s, around 12. It was really 12 men that were going to that. And they were going to Ella Elementary School, and they had a family resource center there, and that's where they met. And they closed down that facility. So I told them, I said, you need to, move to our church. We're right here. We're in the same community. Just, be housed with us. And they went from that to over 250 people are meeting now in that group total for the week. They have several meetings during the week. They meet on Monday nights, they meet on Thursday nights, and they meet on Saturday nights. So there are particular times when we don't necessarily use our church for our church family. So we set it up so they can be a part of that. But I can tell you from those groups in NA, what really impresses me with that too is that they've gone to our ACTS program as well, and they've gone through Fathers First, some of them, and some of them have been really close. Another really interesting piece to this is some of our folks that have come in to Fathers First have been homeless, not only dealing with drug addiction, but actually homeless. And we've seen them go from that to being able to maintain a job to being able to keep their family together and figure things out. And so when we commit to this, we don't look at this as 6 months and by, we'll see you later. We look at this as 6 months, we're here, And if you need us, come back and be a part of us, or be a part of us, and let us help in any way that we can. So it's really been that kind of a open door at our church. I feel that in seeing those things, that's really what keeps us going, and keeps our desire to see things like that happen for people's lives. And we have one of the young ladies that were a part of us that came through Acts class. She's now, involved in well, actually we have two now, and they're both actually drug and alcohol counselors. In their work, they're doing case management anyway. They may not be licensed, but they are definitely doing that kind of work. And anyway, to see those kinds of things happen for men, and seeing them re-involved with their children, and all of that happening, and we learn to be patient, with people, and realize they're not going to move as fastly as maybe necessarily we want them to. Um, and sometimes it may work out where the spouse and the husband can get together and stay together. Sometimes they may not, but we teach them to be responsible, pay their child support, be involved with their children's lives, all those kinds of things. And it's been really encouraging to us to see, as we look back, see lives that have been changed. And that's really what keeps our energy going, doing this for the community and being participative in that way. And I think um, I think it's very rewarding. And sometimes we get, discouraged sometimes, but it's been a overall. I feel like we've been really encouraged by the things that we've seen, and the growth that we've seen. And I think that's really, you know, we're trying to lead them to the Lord, and
Right.
we know that the first step in the 12 steps is, you know, there's a God and you're not it. And number two is you better find out who God is, because you're going to need his help going through all of these things you're going through. So we do incorporate, um, I think we incorporate the 12 steps in a lot of things we do, and even in Father's First, even though it might not be said, this is what step you're on, this is what we're doing, but it's all kind of folded in. Um, and I think that's an important element to this. And uh, that's kind of the theme. Kind of for myself, folded in nurture to heart parenting, looking at the positive, not looking at the negative, seeing people in a
Right.
different way, seeing your children in a different way, allowing that to grow. Understand that ADHD and all those kinds of things may be a label, but it's not something that you can't overcome and can't work through, whether you have it or your child has it or somebody else that's close to you is going through those kinds of things with behavioral health issues. It's all things that can be addressed, and learning to have confidence in that, hope in that, and really connecting that drive. So we've really had uh, a growth mindset. Our mindset is one of really uh, helping people grow, helping people learn, and along the way, and being patient with all of that. I think is so important because when we instill them and have them, when they have hope, you can see the spark come in, and you can see them overcoming things they never thought they would ever be able to overcome.
Right. Well, and that's why my ears perked up when he said you guys offered something for dads. My best friend's mom, her story is very similar to the two ladies that work with you. She was, went from one substance to the next substance to the next substance, like her whole childhood. And now she works in a program helping people with substance abuse, and she's a counselor in a program like that, and it's amazing how much she can help other people based on what she learned. But she went through a billion programs because there's everything in the world out there for moms, and especially, or for women and especially moms, but you don't hear of things for dads all that often. Or when you do, like I said, with the whole, like, the world saying that, masculinity is toxic and you should be meek and not meek like the Bible. Like, there's such a down play on men's mental health, and for men to, they don't ask for help, they won't get the help, it's frowned upon if they're in a program or getting counseling. And so I love that you guys have something, and again, you're meeting them where they're at, you're coming to get them, you're, you know, going to the places where men who need it the most are willing to accept the help. You have a program that's growing, which shows that what you're doing is working. I mean, this is amazing. I'm so happy to hear about this. So how can people find you? I know that you said you're on Facebook and you're on the web. And I know David gave us the address, but how can people, is there a website to enroll? Do they come to the church?
So there's not a website to enroll. I think a lot of advertisement truly for Fathers First through all these years has been because of Dr. Cassidy as the health officer being involved in the community. A lot of word of mouth, a lot of word of mouth. He meets a lot of them at the county jail. He does the program at the county jail. They get out, they come to the program, and they bring their friends. We got other people in the Fathers First program that are very active in increasing enrollment by reaching out to other fathers. So a lot of it is word of mouth. They come on a Wednesday or Friday night. If they like it, they can fill out some paperwork there. It's free and they can join.
Awesome.
We've got 2 graduations a year, in June around Father's Day and in December around Christmas. We just had a graduation.
You're just now starting one. So now is the
Yep.
time to start. Hop in.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for what you're doing. And, you know, thank you for everything you're doing in the community. I appreciate that. My kind of side gig is I work a lot with our local county and city elected officials. I'm part of Moms for Liberty. I'm part of other local organizations. You know, people ask what are your hobbies? What are you into? And I'm like, making the world a better place. I love politics. I was raised on Rush Limbaugh and I hated it as a kid, but now that like my week, 5 days of my week is doing politics, I love it. So this is really refreshing because we've had a huge turnover in Shasta County with our mental health department or public health department. And this is super refreshing. This is super rejuvenating for me on like a political level, like seeing something that's working and isn't tied to like government can fix your problem. This is a program that's not all government, that, you know, has a proven track record. And, you know, I love that. I love when government's not the answer. So
Exactly. We have to come together and, figure out what our gifts are, and, different people that are in our church. We try to get them connected to that and help them grow and whatever that is. And help them figure that out and be a part of it, or get them connected to other groups in our community. Yeah, we have a lot of nonprofits in our area, and other folks that are doing really wonderful work in our community as well. And the more we stay connected and all of that, I think it's, really linking together and all of that. For me, when I'm at restaurants, I try to be sensitive to the Lord, and if the Lord leads me to pray for somebody, I do. And there's a waitress that's in Casa Carlos here in Marysville, and I felt the need to pray with her. And we took our ministering evangelist out to eat, and I felt the need to pray for her, and went there back the following week, and my wife go there quite a bit. Anyway, she waited on us again, and then she came back, and she said the next day she was almost in a major car accident, but she heard a voice tell her to turn right, and she did, and she didn't get in that accident. And it was the very next day after I prayed with her. And I told her, I don't know what I'm praying for you about, but I know the Lord is leading me to pray for you. So I really felt like I needed to do that. So, we try to be sensitive to the Lord, sensitive to the Holy Ghost, listening to his voice, and connecting people to the Lord as what we've learned to do for ourselves. And
yeah,
that's what it's all about, and linking people together and being connected. So important.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I'm learning that my answer just needs to be yes, because when I try to plan things, not only does God like slam the door shut, he like concretes over it because he knows I'm a little stubborn. So I'm learning my answer just needs to be yes, and his plans are way better for me anyway, right?
Yep.
So
Right.
Leslie, we want to thank you. We
yes.
want to thank you that you're a godly Christian woman and you're involved in politics. Sometimes we don't have a high opinion of politicians just for different reasons, but I'm glad that you're involved in it. You're godly and you're trying to make, as you would say, and we agree with you, the world a better place. That's what we want to work with you and make it a better place by helping dads is what we want to do.
I love that. I love that. I feel like it's maybe not a popular opinion right now, but I was standing in line for JD Vance in Reno, and a woman turned around. And at that time, I was hyper focused on education. Like I said, I'm part of Moms for Liberty. I'm hyper focused on education, a little bit of local politics, but mostly that's where my focus was. And she turned around and she told me that the job she has during this campaign is to go knock on the doors of white Christian women because the women of the church are not voting. And when she said that, this fire got lit underneath me. And I am like, every week when I go to church, every time I'm talking to anybody, I'm like, you realize it's not Christian to stay out of politics, right? Like Jesus flipped over tables too. Like we got to get involved because when good men stand by and do nothing, that's when evil gets to take over.
Evil prevails. We totally.
Yeah. 100%. Well, that's awesome.
So Dave's quiet. The other guy here is real quiet, but John and I want to take us, since we co-pastor, that this program happens because of Dave.
Exactly.
Cassie, this is why this program, he's a selfless servant, does a great job at Fathers First. He does.
I would like to say one more thing, that seeing these men when they first enter the program and once they get involved and participate, their lives change. They can't do it. I say most of them, they just can't do it unless God is the center. God has to be the center before we can reach our goals. Yeah. And by the time they get to where they're graduating, you can tell the ones that are going to go out and make a difference in the world.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.